Tonight on Cougar News, we investigate why some students are having difficulty affording food on campus.
And we see how a local charity event is serving up chili to rescue animals.
We also hear the story of a woman who survived tragedy and is running to remember the lives lost. Cougar News starts now.
This is Cougar News.
Hello everyone and welcome to Cougar News. I'm Ryan Burke.
And I'm Taylor Hilo. And here's the latest from the Cougar Newsroom.
Getting accepted into a prestigious four-year university is a very difficult task, and the recent college admissions scandal has not made the situation any less intimidating. Cougar News reporter Savannah Birchfield shows how COC is easing the burden for students preparing to take their next step in education.
Dream schools for many, easy acceptances for a select few. Several universities have been exposed in a recent bribery scandal.
I'm kind of unsure why everybody is surprised by it.
Celebrities such as Lori Loughlin and Felicity Huffman admitted to paying for their kids' acceptances into prestigious schools.
There's a general perception that institutions in general are not accessible to normal people.
This misconduct not only affects regular students, but college athletes as well.
When people their age are cheating, I know they probably can't feel good about that.
For those on the College of the Canyons campus, getting to a four-year can be a large feat in itself.
They have to really work hard to get where they're. I mean, they're at a community college now, and in order to get ahead, more often than not, they have to save money, work odd jobs, apply for financial aid, apply for loans.
With recent reports, USC has raised its tuition to over $57,000, making this even harder to accomplish.
It just seems like you have to prepare for college when you're in preschool.
Though this is stressful news for students, there are several ways for them to ease their minds. Those in sports have some extra help.
College of the Canyons does a fantastic job with the student athletes, the TLC, where they can get their tutoring for pretty much every academic class that they have, every subject. Our athletic counselor, Albert.
Everyone attending COC has a large supply of opportunities to prepare for their next step in higher education.
The resources are here to help you with the transfer process, with COC, or even with just your general future. If you need guidance, we're here.
For Cougar News, I'm Savannah Birchfield.
Cafeteria food may be convenient for students, but it can also be expensive. Reporter Kaden Cerulli tells us how many at COC are adjusting to the rising cost of lunch.
Many students are starting to find that the price of food in the College of the Canyons Valencia cafeteria is becoming too expensive. Currently, customers are spending around $8 to $12 on a meal. And a convenience survey taken by the Associated Student Government, results have shown that students are also spending high amounts on snacks. A granola bar and drink are priced at around $5, according to the ASG's findings. Schools in the state of California are currently on the lookout for food insecurity, which is at the moment considered to be a hot-button topic. The term food insecurity came into existence only a few years ago. ASG advisor Jess Love says the term can mean a spectrum of things, where a student may not know if they're able to eat that day, or may not even know where their next meal will come from.
They have a new student-centered funding formula, and it's new legislation that is supposed to make schools more efficient with how they're spending their money. So they award money to schools that meet certain criteria, like getting students out in a certain number of years or whatever. And so they think that food insecurity ties into this because students can't succeed if they're hungry.
The ASG and COC Board of Trustees will hold a joint meeting on Wednesday with food vendors to discuss the fight against food insecurity, among many other topics. These discussions will include how the food vendors function to make money as a business, as well as in order to function on campus.
I think students vote with their wallets, and they vote with where they go. And so a lot of people, if you think that something is wrong or you think that something needs to be changed, you can either go to your student government, you can go to your board of trustees, or you can just choose not to purchase things from a place. If you think something's too expensive, that's how change happens.
In another meeting scheduled for Thursday, the cafeteria will introduce the possibility of a new Cougar value menu. But that's the latest in the COC cafeteria. Reporting for Cougar News, I'm Caden Cerulli.
Hey Taylor, have you been to Six Flags recently?
Not in a really long time, but I did hear that they're getting rid of a ride.
Let's turn it over to Hannah for what's trending.
Thanks, you guys. Six Flags Magic Mountain has confirmed it will be removing its Green Lantern First Flight coaster, which has been out of operation since 2017, and for the most part, fans are happy to see it go. The ride was the first Intamin Zack Spin roller coaster in the United States when it first opened in 2011 and is set to be replaced with a new attraction in the future. After a 2-year investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election, Special Counsel Robert Mueller has submitted his report to Attorney General William Barr for review. According to Barr's summary of the report, while the Russians attempted twice to interfere with the 2016 election, and actors hired by the Russian government were found to have successfully hacked into the computers of Clinton campaign affiliates and Democratic Party organizations, ultimately sharing the obtained information publicly, no evidence of collusion was found between anyone associated with the Trump campaign and the Russians. The summary continued on to quote Special Counsel Mueller, stating that while this report does not conclude that the president committed a crime, it also does not exonerate him. Attorney General Barr is set to release a version of Mueller's report in the coming weeks. A parent successfully rescued and resuscitated their child after a drowning scare at a pool in Valencia Tuesday evening. Once awake and breathing, the child was taken to a home in Tesoro del Valle where emergency response crews arrived. Paramedics then took the child and a man appearing to be the child's father to Rio Norte Junior High School, where the pair was transferred to a rescue helicopter on the campus soccer field and taken to the hospital. That's what's trending. I'm Hannah Curran. To learn more about what's happening in and around the Santa Clarita Valley, you can check us out at cougarnews.com. Now back to you guys.
Thanks, Hannah. After nearly 30 years of controversy, the city of Santa Clarita has scored an important victory in its fight against the CEMEX gravel mine. Cougar News reporter Nick Adante gives us the latest.
CEMEX Corporation's mining rights in Soledad Canyon will expire as of July 2020.
Over the past 20 years, the Santa Clarita City Council and one of the world's largest cement firms, CEMEX, have been in a legal battle over the land rights of the Soledad Canyon sand and gravel mine. Soon after the development started, the city of Santa Clarita began to appeal the contracts that gave CEMEX the rights to mine a plot of land nearly twice the size of Magic Mountain. The city has been engaged in an expensive and lengthy battle with CEMEX over the operation of the mine. This week, the final decision about the mining contracts was made by the Interior Board of Land Appeals.
Essentially makes this current contract useless
for CEMEX, thus preventing any mining. This is an achievement for the city officials and representatives that have spent the last 2 decades pushing this issue in Washington. Newly elected Representative Katie Hill.
I realize that I'm late to the party, but I'm excited to have been able to help do whatever I can to push it to a final conclusion.
Soon after entering office in January, Representative Hill began pushing the federal government to expedite the appeals decision. Hill faced pressure from CEMEX to change her position, but made it clear that she stands with the community.
But I think whenever you're taking on the little guys, taking on the these huge corporations, it's going to be a tough battle, and I don't think that the federal government was helping in the way that it should have been.
Although the issue isn't completely over, representatives will continue to monitor the situation.
Entire way and make sure that this follows through and that we don't lose any ground, and that it can't possibly result in anything else but the mine never happening.
This legislative victory shows that the city of Santa Clarita fought hard to keep CEMEX from congesting freeways with large trucks, keeping air clean, protecting open spaces, and avoiding depletion of the quality of life it provides for its citizens.
If you have an entire community of people working together, elected officials at every level working together, then we're able to just keep that focus. The advocacy coming from the community has been incredible, and we're able to get things done.
Nick Adante, Cougar News.
This month marked the official end of the drought in California. Reporter Bobby Block traveled to Castaic Lake to find out just what that means for our community and what we can expect in the months to come.
The hills around Castaic Lake are alive, with vivid grasses blanketing a flower-dotted landscape.
I mean, I haven't seen these hills look like this for years.
It's all the result of a season of historic rainfall that brought California's drought to an end. And helped revitalize the local ecosystem.
It's been a great year for all living things.
All living things, including the Santa Clarita residents who depend on the Castaic Reservoir for water. Once in danger of drying up, this vital water source is now at 81% capacity. However, what the climate provides, the climate can also take away.
We will be highly at risk for wildfires, and that's what has been devastating California for the last decade. So hopefully we won't have an event like what they had up in Santa Rosa, which just devastated entire suburban communities because the fire was so incredibly hot. That fire started in native shrub and then just came in to the local areas where suburbs are and then destroyed the houses.
And in the event of an earthquake, even the high water levels in the reservoir could threaten residents.
Dams went through a great era, 50 years ago. We need more of a modern idea. Building dams in earthquake areas, not all that smart, because dams are all susceptible to failing.
While the end of the drought might not solve all of California's ecological problems, it is acting as a catalyst for some people to begin thinking about the future of water management.
So I think that's what people have to start thinking about, is stop wasting our water by pushing it into a saline ocean and start saving it by pushing it underground.
For Cougar News, I'm Bobby Block.
Coming up next on Cougar News, we show you how one COC student and aspiring firefighter is lighting crowds up with his music.
And we hear from a local woman who survived the Borderline bar shooting and is running a marathon to remember those who fell in the attack. Stay tuned.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks donors to schedule an appointment to give now. Every 2 seconds, someone in the United States needs blood. Your blood donation is critical and can help save lives. Please, schedule an appointment today. Download the Blood Donor app, visit redcrossblood.org, or call 1-800-RED-CROSS today. You can make a difference.
They've been very caring. They care about every single student that's in the class.
Yeah, everyone seems to be pretty friendly with each other. No one's really afraid to ask each other for help.
Working with other people, not being ornery, actually listening to what people say, collaborating with them to create a really good product.
It's great to use the same stuff the pros use, especially at a community college.
Hopefully we give them a pathway to have their creativity showcased.
I've gotten a great education.
I love the access to equipment.
I've made lifelong friendships.
I have great teachers.
A speaker attended COC last Thursday to discuss her research on Generation Z. Reporters Hannah Curran and Savannah Birchfield give us a closer look on just who these young adults are.
We've heard a lot about millennials, but how much do we know about Generation Z? Dr. Corey C. Miller spoke at the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center on Thursday to share her research on the young generation.
They're really interested in social change as opposed to service, meaning they want to make a difference in the bigger problem rather than just addressing the symptom of a problem.
With many Generation Z students on campus, Faculty Director of Civic and Community Engagement Initiatives, Patty Robinson, was inspired to ask Dr. C. Miller to share with us what she knows.
In working with a lot of the younger students, I'm finding that they're very passionate. They have a lot of compassion. They want to make a difference. They don't get hung up on a lot of things that older generations do. And the big thing is they really want to get out there and make a change.
It's going to be the generation that not just dreams about changing the world, but more than likely goes out and changes the world because of the passion and the focus. And I think the desire to engage as many people as possible for a common good, for the greater good, and not at the expense of anyone else.
Several students were in the audience taking notes and connecting with what Dr. C. Miller had to say.
The things that she was saying, I totally related.
And those connections are what matter most.
It's definitely the relationships. It's making a difference for other people and not wanting to let them down. There are certainly things that this generation is great at and has great attitudes for, and just to kind of keep the inspiration.
For Cougar News, this has been Hannah Curran reporting.
When Apple created its wireless Airpods system, they designed it to connect their technology together, but it may be causing their users to disconnect from each other. Reporter Mariah Ahumada shows us how this is affecting students and faculty at COC.
In 2016, Apple released wireless Bluetooth earphones called Airpods. Since then, Airpods have made their way into the ears of many COC students. But these trendy earphones pose a problem for professors.
People just sort of put their headphones in and don't pay any attention to what's going on around them, or use it as an excuse to not pay attention to what's going on around them. With the Airpods, it's probably just an easier way to do that and a little less visible since they're so small.
With hundreds of students walking through campus each day, many of them receive very little interaction due to Airpods.
Like, I hear people talking to me, but I just act like I don't hear them because I have the Airpods, or they might not see them, because when I wear my dreads down, they can't really see that I have Airpods in, so I kind of just like pretend to ignore them so I don't have to talk to them.
Opinions on whether Airpods should be worn in class clash between professors and students.
I'm not super thrilled when they're wearing it during class. Sometimes they'll wear just one, but I'm not real happy about it. I usually ask them to stop.
It's a cheat way in class too. The teachers never know I have headphones in.
Though it's a good thing Airpods aren't allowed in the classroom because it allows for social interaction. For Cougar News, I'm Mariah Ahumada.
And now we're going to toss it to Emily Mahler so we can get the latest update on all things entertainment.
Thank you guys so much. Over the weekend, Paley Fest hosted a Parks and Rec reunion, and we got to learn a little bit more about the show we all love and miss, like how Ron Swanson actor Nick Offerman salvaged the doors from set and made canoe paddles for the cast and crew. Also, Ben Wyatt still doesn't understand the love for beloved character Little Sebastian. Well, he's still Icetown mayor after all. Disney's acquisition of 21st Century Fox is now complete. This $71.3 billion deal is one of the largest entertainment mergers of all time. For Marvel Comics and Entertainment, this means Deadpool and the X-Men are finally back home where they belong. But within this merger, cinema fans are concerned. What happens to independent and art house films, like Fox Searchlight Pictures, who produced 2018 Best Picture winner The Shape of Water? Open your storybooks up for one more tale of The Sword in the Stone. Cougar News reporter Jonathan Stratton journeys to Camelot to find the true king at the main theater's presentation of King Arthur.
Our childhood story of The Sword in the Stone comes to life once again with new light as Olive Branch Theatricals partners with the main theater in Newhall to present King Arthur.
The play itself, King Arthur, is something that a lot of people are familiar with. So having it be a panto is definitely a new experience. Having it be something that we get to interact with the audience is something that people never have really experienced before, because a lot of people are familiar with Sword in the Stone. Having it be a panto is kind of putting a fresh spin on things.
Yeah, so we're going to start right into a hut and a hat.
Along with the performance being a panto where kids and parents alike are encouraged to dance and reply to questions, they have a blacklight scene and an adorable new character.
We're taking ours a little bit ahead of time, so it's kind of the story leading up to when he actually pulls the sword out of the stone, how he meets Guinevere and Lancelot, and in this one he has a pet dragon. So there's a couple different elements to it. So when we saw the main, we thought 81 seats, a really cute environment, and we got really excited about it.
Aside from producing the King Arthur performance, Olive Branch Theatricals hopes to bring an enjoyable opportunity for all.
We really wanted to reach out to kids and different groups in the community, and we specifically target families as well as people with special needs. So we're very outreach and community based, and we try to find people that can't normally go to theater and get them involved.
I would definitely say, like, if you have family, if you have loved ones as like tiny little tater tots, please come out and see it. It's definitely worth your time.
Reporting for Cougar News, I'm Jonathan Stratton.
Hollywood's close proximity to Santa Clarita provides a huge benefit for the film students here at COC. Cougar News reporter Michelle Henry takes a look at how industry professionals share their secrets to success at a nearby film festival.
The glitz and the glamour of the Hollywood movie industry attract many new industry hopefuls. It is not until you get into the industry that you realize there's a lot of behind the scenes to make that movie magic. The Mel Theater 7 in Pasadena hosted Pasadena's 2019 International Film Festival. Viewers were able to watch the contestants' short films from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. in theater-style environment for the 7-day show run. A benefit provided to contestants and observers was a Q&A style panel at Vroman's bookstore alongside the theater. The panelists included producers, filmmakers, writers, and professors. These industry professionals provided lots of good advice to future screenwriters.
Always striving. I think that's just a good human thing to have no matter what.
By the end of the 7-day festival, there was an awards ceremony at the Speakeasy in Pasadena where filmmakers were happy to share with us why they love their job.
I think anytime that you have something that's important to you, you're going to meet resistance in that, and there's a great book, The War of Art. I don't know if you've read that, but it's an amazing book. And it talks a lot about this idea that artists struggle with a lot of internal resistance and also external resistance that we have. And so I think that part of what, the creation process is about, making sure that you push through that. It's getting, a friend of mine who's a producer said that to be in the film, you have to be willing to stand up and run into a brick wall every day for 10 years. And if you can do that, then you can make it as a filmmaker. And I've seen that has been proven to be true in my life. So,
for more information on how to get your film to festival, see our article on cougarnews.com.
For Cougar Review this week, let's check out some of the newest features to hit your screens. A couple weeks ago, our first female-led MCU film crashed through a blockbuster roof, literally. Brie Larson stars as Carol Danvers, aka Fierce, also known as title character Captain Marvel. Set in the 90s, with no spare of throwing in hit songs like Come As You Are, this movie packs not only a nostalgic punch, but a buddy cop element as well. In this film, the audience will learn and accept that not everything that is put right in front of you is your truth. You don't always need to be strong. Batman, Poe Dameron, Jax Teller, and Oberyn Martell walk into a gym and plan a heist. Triple Frontier is the newest action movie for a Netflix audience, following special ops in their dangerous plan to steal a drug lord's fortune for themselves and not their country. Relationships are tested, morals are broken, and a lot of blood is shed. Director J.C. Chandor takes a darker route to recent comedic heights in this film. If you want to get crazy, we could get crazy. From the creative and ever-changing mind of living legend Jordan Peele comes the horror movie that plays with your soul. Us is following the Wilson family in California for one horrific and America-changing summer. We see them fight to survive against the tethered, who look exactly like them. Lupita Nyong'o is the real deal in this film. Her characters take the movie to dramatic and psychological heights. I walked out of the theater thinking Us was one of my favorite films of all time. For Cougar Review, I'm Emily Mahler. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. A COC student shows us how he conquers life as a student and coach by day and an aspiring recording artist by night.
By day, his nose is buried in his books.
I really just go to class, get my work done, maybe go to the TLC, get some studying in.
But by night, he trades in his books for his passion.
I need this. This is like my little escape from reality,
His reality.
My major is fire technology, so I'm studying to become a firefighter.
Is juggling his 3 different identities.
I work with kids, so that takes a lot of my time as well. I can't really be showing like my music side when I'm around the kids, only because I have to set like that example for them. It all comes with like timing, So there's always a time and place for like a certain person.
From humble beginnings.
After high school, when we graduated, I finally went into the studio and then made my first song, and then that caught a little buzz. So then I just kept going, kept running with it.
Came the first big break of his music career.
So Blueface's people had hit one of the homies who was like kind of like my manager. And when I was at work, they said, "Hey, do you want to open up for Blueface?"
Inspired by their past.
When we saw each other again in Santa Barbara, it was kind of crazy. just because like I know how far he's got, but he saw me like how far I'm getting.
His present gives him hope for the future of his career.
It's surreal, like it's because walking in here, it's like clocking in for a job, except this is something that I actually see myself doing. You know, like this is something that I love.
But his future hasn't always been clear.
I doubt it all the time, a lot. Last year I didn't drop any music because I didn't think it was for me.
However, the numbers don't lie.
So then I look back at the views, crazy to me, you know? So my aspirations are getting up there.
But in the end,
you just got to keep pushing on, you know, like a lot of people would doubt you, a lot of people would support you.
There's only one true critic whose opinions matter most.
If you're not your biggest supporter yourself, then you really won't get far.
Reporting to you for Cougar News, I'm Sarah Pena.
Studying abroad can be both exciting and scary. But where can international students looking to attend COC turn for aid and support? Cougar News reporters Natalia Radcliffe and Praditya Fulamarani take a trip into the ISP office to learn about what resources they have to offer.
If you need help with planning a vacation, you go to a travel agent. But where do you go if you need help with planning to study abroad? For foreign students, COC's International Services and Programs Office is one such resource they can utilize to help them make the most out of their time here. Leading the ISP is Dr. Jia-Yi Cheng-Levine, Dean of the Internal Affairs and Global Engagement.
ISP stands for International Services and Programs. What it does is, first, it's basically about student mobility. It's about international students coming in to study on our campus.
Cheng-Levine notes that a solid international office and a very friendly community, and Santa Clarita being one of the safest cities in California, are the primary reasons why COC is a good fit with international students. The ISP office travels all around the world to recruit students, establishing close ties with local high schools, especially in China.
Some of those schools have what they call COC track classes, meaning those students, the year they go to high school, they knew they were coming to us to study at COC.
Tracy Shaw is the current COC student that has benefited from the partnership the ISP has built.
I would have like more opportunities and more choices if I want to develop myself more. It's really fun learning different languages, and it helped me a lot while developing a lot of oral speaking skills, or it kind of, I think learning a new language is opening a new path of thinking.
COC's International Services and Programs doesn't just serve international students, it serves us as well. Dr. Cheng-Levine describes it as an opportunity for domestic students to experience different cultures from the convenience of home. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. They come here to learn, but we too can learn from them. For Cougar News, this is Praditya Fulamarani.
Still 19 months away, but that's not stopping several Democratic candidates from posturing for the next presidential election. And Southern California was ground zero this past weekend as Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders rolled into town to make his case. Here's more with George Ventura.
Beginning to fight back, we're seeing teachers.
2020 presidential candidate Bernie Sanders hit the ground running in California, joining UCLA union members on Wednesday for a one-day strike. He held his first campaign rally in San Diego on Friday, following up with a rally here in Los Angeles at Grant Park.
A busy week for the Vermont senator in California. On Wednesday, he joined union members at UCLA who argued for fair wages and benefits. Sanders spoke for his support of unions and demanded companies like Disney and Walmart to stop paying their employees a starving wage. UCLA students spoke about their support for the union members.
They're fighting for a living wage that keeps up with inflation in Los Angeles, so they're fighting for a wage that would allow them to, first of all, be able to live within a commute. As you saw from the speeches or heard from the speeches, many people have to commute over 2 hours because they can't afford to buy it. They can't afford to live around where they're working. So they're fighting for wages that, one, keep up with inflation, and then two, just wages that are enough to actually feed their families and provide for their families.
Those on strike hope Sanders' appearance at UCLA brings more attention to the situation. The 2020 presidential candidate then held his first campaign rally in California in downtown San Diego at Waterfront Park. Sanders addressed thousands of supporters in San Diego, speaking about his policies for Medicare for all, free college, and universal child care.
I think a lot of his agenda that he has and the platforms that he's going for really appeal to the younger people like me. I mean, I'm not eligible to smoke marijuana, but like even if younger people like around my age, they really are for it, and the Medicare for All, even though like it's more towards families or older people, I think it really shows that like he's trying to reach out to everyone.
Sanders spoke for about an hour in San Diego before heading to Los Angeles. Sanders held his Los Angeles rally at Grant Park on Sunday, where thousands of his supporters filled up the park. Sanders continued to push for his democratic socialist policies and wanted to legalize marijuana and ending the war on drugs. For Cougar News, I'm George Ventura.
Coming up next on Cougar News, we see how one local group is taking a stand against bullying.
And we meet a borderline bar shooting survivor who is using running to cope with the event. Stay tuned.
In a home fire, can your family safely escape in 2 minutes?
I heard my oldest son holler for mommy, and all I could see was smoke. The boys, we never really worked with them, I guess, on telling them what to do if there's a fire. We lost our child. We lost everything.
Make sure you can safely escape a fire. Practice your 2-minute drill. Test your smoke alarms monthly. Make your plan today.
College of the Canyons creates possibilities.
It's a gateway to opportunities.
A place where students learn they can believe in themselves.
Behind every possibility at College of the Canyons are the people.
Together we focus on achieving success, one student at a time.
That focus is a reflection of what we value.
It defines who we are.
We are. We are.
We are College of the Canyons.
This is Cougar News.
Local residents rallied together with their signs and voices to speak out against an issue plaguing the school system. Cougar News reporter Sophia Alessios hit the streets to tell us more about this meeting.
On the corner of Valencia Boulevard and McBean Parkway, a peaceful protest against bullying was held by Santa Clarita locals. Children, animals, and plenty of signs were brought together in order to make an impact.
It's easier to be a friend than a bully because, like, it's easy to say nice things to people, but it's hard to, like, come up with mean things to say.
Spreading awareness was the goal for the objectors.
I hope that it spreads enough awareness. I hope that the bullies, in the school system sees that we're really done. We're going to start trying to make more of a stand. We want a zero tolerance policy put in place.
They say bullying is not going to be tolerated in Santa Clarita. For some of them, it's personal.
Honestly, all of this wouldn't have started unless my daughter had gone through it with me personally, because I didn't really realize it until I went through it with her.
Some even spoke out about how bullying affected their emotions.
It definitely was like an emotional roller coaster, but I have been bullied before.
The event tried to be as loud as possible and get as many horns honking at once. For Cougar News, I'm Sophia Alessios.
Over the weekend, COC men's baseball took on Antelope Valley College in a conference game. Reporters Andrew Saavedra and Connor McKinnon take us pitch by pitch.
COC took on Antelope Valley College over the weekend for the third straight game where the teams traded wins in the previous 2 games. 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 2 AVC jumped out to an early lead in the top of the first inning, hitting a grand slam as well as adding additional runs. In the top of the ninth, runners on first and third, 1 out. A ground ball to the COC third baseman goes to second to turn a crucial double play to end the game, but would be taken out by AVC's runner at first, and the umpire would call the game because the runner made contact with the second baseman trying to turn the double play. The final score ends at 8-7, taking COC's conference record to 4-4 on the season. For Cougar News, this is Connor McKinnon.
Every year, cooks from around Santa Clarita pit their chili recipes against each other for the sake of charity. I give us a taste of what this event is all about. The SCV Charity Cook-Off competition was steaming. Hopes were high, but only one could leave with the chili cook-off crown.
I was surprised last year. I'm always surprised to win. The competition is really, really extreme here.
Some recipes are handed down, but others are best left unsaid.
I'll tell you, there's 8 beans, there's like 14 spices, and a lot of love. But I don't give my recipe away.
Every year, the cook-off sponsors a new charity that is small and sometimes forgotten.
This is such a great event, and it's for such a great cause. The Santa Clarita Chili Cook-Off is raising money for local animal shelters. And look at that chili, so good.
In this year's charity, the underdogs are finally getting their time in the limelight.
We just tried to find a reason to do a charity event that isn't like the normal charity events in town, where we can raise money for charities, but the underdogs, the little ones that don't necessarily get exposure and no one knows about.
What started out as an idea sprawled on a napkin has turned into a widely loved event in the community. The 7th annual Chili Cook-Off had the Oaks filled to the brim with people enjoying and donating to a worthy cause.
It obviously supports a great cause, you know, all the animals and everything like that, and it's really a fun time with all the community members.
At max capacity this year, Santa Clarita will just have to wait and see how the charity tops itself next year.
We work all year long to make it a great event, and every year we try to make it better and better and escalate the event and the experience.
For Cougar News, this has been Taylor Hilo Eating.
In high school baseball, West Ranch took on Valencia in their second league meeting on Friday. Reporter Rigo Carbajal and I have the rundown on the game.
Valencia High School hosted West Ranch for their second Foothill League meeting on Friday. Owen Strader would get things going for the Vikings with a solo home run in the first inning. West Ranch's offense struggled against pitcher Mitchell Torres, who threw for 5 scoreless innings. In the second, the Vikings added 2 more runs thanks to RBIs from Parker Simonian and Steven Gonzalez. Valencia's Davis Kopp extended the lead in the third to 6-0. Despite their shortcomings at the plate, the Wildcats had 4 hits, which ultimately led to a run in the 7th. The Vikings would continue to pour it on in the 4th and 5th inning and secured an 8-1 victory. West Ranch drops to a respectable 12-4, while Valencia improves to 10-6. For Cougar News, I'm Rigo Carbajal.
This past weekend, College of the Canyons hosted the 2nd annual Southern California Makerspace Festival. With over 30 vendors, this event was packed with booths showcasing the latest technologies. Cougar News reporters Noah Lubell and Katie Weinkoop were there to witness the extravaganza.
This Saturday, people from all across California gathered at College of the Canyons to participate in the 2nd annual Southern California Makerspace Festival. Free to all ages and open to the public, this event drew an impressive crowd ranging from those with a strong interest in cosplay to those involved in robotics.
The SoCal Makerspace Festival event was to show people and give resources to people that they can make, say, outside their homes. They can find groups of people that have either machines or more knowledge so they can spread their joy of their craft to many more people.
The creativity brought to the campus is undeniably one of the most exciting aspects of the Makerspace Festival. This was largely due in part to the many different volunteers.
We had, I think, 30 groups of people here sharing everything that they do, and they're very excited about showing other people that they can build, they can use recyclable woods or anything like that.
With the success of the event and the ever-growing makers movement, Becker and many others want to expand the makerspace beyond College of the Canyons.
I would like for the event to get bigger, and I would like to build out the space more so more people can come and enjoy what they do.
With an artistic eye and an ambitious heart, the Makerspace looks forward to seeing what the future holds. For Cougar News, I'm Noah Lubell.
Every 2 weeks, a group of students gather on the COC campus to discuss what they can do for their local community. Reporter Summer Yang tells us more about these high-achieving individuals.
The Gamma Beta Phi Society is a national honors and service society. According to the website, the society is a non-secret, non-profit, scholastic, honor, educational service organization.
So the goal of Gamma Beta Phi Honor Society is to have as much interaction with the local community. We try to focus mainly on the Santa Clarita Valley, whether that be volunteering, fundraising, starting food drives. We want to help out as much people as possible.
Meetings are held every 2 weeks in Mentry Hall 343. It is for certain students, faculty, and staff at accredited colleges and universities that recognizes and encourages excellence in education and promotes the development of leadership ability.
We talk about any ongoing events, like any volunteer opportunities. We have a volunteer officer who is mainly in charge of just finding different things. Like she found the Shelter Hope, which is a pet shelter over at the mall, so she connected us with that. We talk about any fundraisers that's going on. Like today we talked about the California Pizza Kitchen opportunity that we're going to do. And then any announcements such as the initiation ceremony that's coming up, any questions, stuff like that.
This is Summer Yang for Cougar News.
When tragedy came to the Borderline Bar, one COC student ran. Now, she's running to honor those who were left behind. Cougar News reporter Michelle Lutz tells us the story of how one survivor is using her hobby to overcome the pain of tragedy.
Just go, keep going. Running was like a second hobby of mine, and then after the shooting happened, I didn't really want to run.
These boots were made for dancing, but on the night of November 7th, 2018, Caitlin Dodler used them to run for her life.
That night we actually stood on the opposite side than normal, and we just danced away.
She left her friends to use the restroom when tragedy struck. She
sat there and kind of processed it a little bit, and then I realized, okay, I have to go for my life right now.
Almost 5 months later, Caitlin has traded in her cowgirl boots for running shoes.
I started running again, and I turned it into a therapy of determination and motivation to keep going and not look back at it.
With determination, she began training for the LA Marathon.
So I tried to piece things together on how can I make this not just about myself. And then I realized, you know what? That tragedy really affected a lot of people, including me. So I turned it into making it about Borderline. I want to show dedication to the ones who didn't make it.
Writing the 12 victims' names on popsicle sticks, Caitlin stopped every 2 miles to take a selfie, dedicating each mile to a life lost.
2 to 24 is going to be the victims, and then the 26 miles is going to be dedicated to survivors.
She is back to line dancing every week.
I didn't know how long it would take me to go back to line dancing.
And has gotten through the last few months with her support system.
Nice to meet you, Brittany. It does hit me sometimes, and it plays back in my head, but the support system is the best thing, because someone is always going to be there for you, and they're going to help you, and I just say find something that you love, and that will distract you and help you cope.
For Cougar News, I'm Michelle Lutz.
That does it for this edition of Cougar News. I'm Ryan Burke. Remember, you can catch us on the web at cougarnews.com.
And I'm Taylor Hilo. You can also send us news tips and story ideas to our Twitter handle, COC_Cougar News, and follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Have a good night, everybody.